If he even knows. Okay. All right. Hopefully somebody watches. If not, hopefully they watch it on the playback. But I had to quote unquote get my shit off. So first of all, as far as anyone is concerned, I'm a nobody. I am just a fan of Nick Rekieta. I've been watching him since the 2020 election streams. The 2020 election challenges streams. And I was enjoying the content he was putting out. I was watching the live streams. And like most people, quite pleasantly surprised. Because a lot of people don't understand what Nick is. And what he is what people on the interwebs will refer to as a edgelord. He makes a lot of what people would consider inappropriate jokes. He uses a lot of what people would consider politically incorrect terms. And he has garnered a fan base, but also a lot of haters. And right now, what he's going through, I've been seeing a lot of people's perspective, but what I have not been seeing is the perspective of the real fans, the people who have been watching them for a long time, the people who have continued to watch them, and people who are still want to watch him and are waiting to hear from him and hoping that he's okay. So that's to differentiate us real fans from the fake fans. Now, who are the fake fans of Nick Rekieta? The fake fans of Nick Rekieta are people who either saw him on guest appearances, like either they saw him on Steven Crowder, or they saw him on Tim Pool, they saw him on Alex Jones, they saw him on Glenn Beck, or they even caught a trial stream and they enjoyed the trial stream, they enjoyed his commentary, and then they tune into the night streams and they're exposed to the real Nick Rekieta. And some of them don't like what they hear. Some people, for some people, Nick's content is unpalatable, and either he swears too much, he drinks too much, or says a lot of stuff that is actually based on red pill, but they don't want to hear it. So they'll leave some weirdo comment like, "Oh, I fell in love with your streams. I was a fan, but then I'm leaving because you either cuss or says something that triggered them." So they gotta make a big fuss about unsubscribing, even though all you really gotta do is just press a button and unsubscribe. You don't really gotta, make it known that you're leaving. And as a fan, again, I've been watching this guy since the 2020 election streams. You see that all the time, which is why I had to make this stream, because those same fans who aren't really fans of Nick are the ones who are controlling the narrative. They're the ones who are saying, "Oh, I love this guy, but he fell off. He's not doing what he used to do," even though, dude, the last stream I saw of him, well, from their perspective, the last stream they would see from them would be like from years ago, 2 years ago. They haven't watched Nick in a while. They've either seen some clip on the internet or they either saw some meme and they assume that that's his entire content. They're not watching nightly, like I'm watching nightly. Now, has Nick's contact changed? Has Nick content changed? Yes, it has, but not in the way they claim it does. It has changed in terms of consistency. Now, if you don't know, or if anyone doesn't really know, uh, who's outside of the Rekieta law community, earlier this year, Nick Rekieta lost his nanny, as in she either left the picture or she quit or he fired her. Doesn't matter. His nanny wasn't there to help his wife raise their kids. So Nick would have to take on the chores that would normally were reserved for his nanny. And afterwards, he'd be so exhausted that he wouldn't be able to stream. So if you're a member of his locals community, or if you're just signed up to receive newsletters from his locals, every other day or so, you're getting a post saying he's not able to stream. Or he's in the city and he's just got back and he hasn't had time to set up a stream and he won't be able to make it. So that's the change. Yes, he's lost weight, but a lot of it was intentional. He was overweight. He claimed to be overweight. Actually, we have stills from, this is from January 19, 2022. This is how he looked like. He's a little bit round. This would be Fat Nick. And he basically mentioned on the stream that he wanted to lose weight. And I think he might have engaged in what's known as intermittent fasting, when you should just either eat once during the day or eat, or you don't eat breakfast. But whatever he did worked. Whatever. This is from a year ago. This is from February 1st, 2023. Again, he's not as fat anymore. This is super fat Nick. Not as fat Nick. Right? Then we got 5 months ago. This is from December 12th, 2023. Again, there's not that much of a difference between Nick from a year ago, Nick from 5 months ago. Yeah, he's a skinnier, but I saw this meme out like early this week, and it basically posted a picture of his last stream where he was like wasted and he did something stupid. And I don't know, I was watching the stream and I fell asleep, so I saw the clip afterwards and he had already deleted the stream, so I really can't pull that image up, but and I wouldn't want to. But this is him from 5 months ago, and this is him from 3 weeks ago. Again, comparing 5 months ago, 3 weeks ago, yes, he's skinnier, but the dude doesn't look like he's fucking malnourished and shit, which is what they want people to believe. The narrative is that this guy has been doing coke and on drugs, and he has been eating, and he's been neglecting his kids and all that yada yada yada. But there's really isn't a difference. So he said he was like around what, 210, and that he lost like what is it, 40 to 60 pounds. Like he went from 210 to 160. That's like 50 pounds. 50 pounds in 3 years is not that bad. Actually, most people, that's actually pretty slow compared to the what people who engage in weight loss normally lose. But yeah, this is him from 5 months ago. This is him from 3 weeks ago. And this is him from 10 days ago. And the only real difference I notice is, one, the camera angles. The camera angles is always going to have an effect on how the person's look. The camera angles, the lighting. Anybody who's worked with cameras and done any sort of production knows that the camera angle, the lighting, the resolution, the Basically, it's just the way this thing is being produced changes the way a person could look, and I really didn't notice a difference. And again, not saying that he isn't healthy. He's time and time again on his streams. People who listen to his streams would tell. He would tell us that, hey, I'm sick. I haven't been able to stream on a consistent basis. I lost too much weight that I need to gain back. Because he wanted to be at 170. He ended up going down all the way down to 160. So, and that's happened. When I had COVID, I lost like 5 extra pounds that I didn't want to lose because I couldn't eat because I was bedridden and the only thing I could consume was soup. So it's pretty reasonable for a guy who's claims that he intended to lose the weight, and a guy that intending to lose weight loses weight and then gets sick and loses more weight. You don't really need a dude to be on the stuff they claiming he's on. Again, this is him from 2022. This is him from 3 weeks ago. If you notice there, again, that's a big difference, but not that big of a difference. Now, if he was like looking like Christian Bale in The Machinist, that's one thing, but that's not how he looks like. It's not how he looks like at all. So, again, these are the change. But again, we're going to be addressing the narratives that have been placed against them, and we're gonna look at the charging documents, and we're gonna see if they're consistent, because me and Nick Rekieta have something in common, and the thing that we have in common is that we're both creative writers, and I understand a story from a creative writer's perspective. And one thing you get taught in writing class is how to tell whether or not a story is well written. And what it means to be well written is not the same thing as being a good story or a bad story. It's not the same thing as an entertaining story and a boring story. It's not the same thing. A well-written story is a story that is consistent, makes sense, it helps the reader suspend disbelief if it's fictional, and if it's not fictional, if the story is well written out, it makes it easier to believe. But right now, what I have seen, and I'm going to break this story down. I have the charging documents right here. I'm going to go through everything that is written here. And then afterwards, I'm going to tell you what the person who wrote the story did wrong, and how, if I was a juror, because I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal analyst, I don't know. Like, the only thing I know about the law is what I learned from Viva Fry and Barnes, Robert Gouveia, Nick Rekieta, all the other law too. Like, I never taken class, so I'm not going to claim here and say that I'm a legal expert and know what you should do from a legal perspective. But I am a writer, and I know what a good story looks like, and I know what a story that makes sense look like. And I'm going to here to tell you right now, whoever watches this story does not make any sense. And this story that's written here does not fit the public narrative. Right now, people are just looking at what's written here, and with this was written here, they're using this to convict the guy that they don't even know is guilty or not. They just assume, like, hey, oh no, they found a bag of coke in your house, you're a junkie, throw this ass in jail for 25 years. But I'm going to show you how this story fails to prove that Nicholas Rekieta is apparently a cokehead, an alcoholic. He abuses his kids, and some asshole is claiming that he's a swinger and he's sharing his wife, you're gonna address that idiot later. I'm gonna deal with that guy later. I'm gonna deal with the story now and the narrative now. So the first thing that we're going to do is read the complaint. And when I read the complaint, I am going to stop and see if it makes sense from a writer's perspective. So, complaining officer, yada, yada, yada. And then it said on May 23rd, 2024. So that is like 6 days after this appearance. 6 days after this appearance. So on May 23rd at 9 a.m. So it's in the morning. A search warrant was executed at this address against these people. And as law enforcement approached the residence, Rekieta was traveling southbound on the 51st in a vehicle. Nick was stopped by law enforcement, and upon entering the door, now notice what just happened here. There is missing detail. Law enforcement is approaching the residence, and they see Nick in a car, and they stop him. And now they're at the door. There is missing information. You're dealing with a traffic stop, but the person who wrote this story doesn't know how to properly articulate himself. The person who wrote the story, he knows how to write, like he's writing facts, but this is a poorly written story. You got to separate facts from story. This is a poorly written story. You're skipping ahead. And that's if you want to believe that nothing happened during the traffic stop. He is driving his vehicle. Are you ready? If I was going to write this story, I would say a search warrant was granted. When a search warrant was granted, all of the vehicles that are registered to Nick and his wife were put on the BOLO list. What is the BOLO list? The be on the lookout list. That means whenever a police officer sees any of these vehicles, they are to stop it immediately. So, one unit, which is about to make sense. Okay. Hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, upon knocking the door, a juvenile female opened the door and wouldn't let them in. Nicholas will not provide door code to enter the residence. Law enforcement entered the home using a door ramp. Upon entry, law enforcement, Lady Rackets, April M. Holt, and 4 uniphiles were at the home. Officers noted the home was extremely cluttered. There were clothes everywhere, dirty ditches overall home. Nicholas Rekieta returned home with law enforcement officers. What does that mean? This is poorly written. Are you ready? I'm going to show you how this is poorly written. If he's traveling down the road, and the cops stop him, how are they now at his house? And then they're coming to his house. What is going on here? What happened? And I guess what this person is trying to explain, the person who wrote this affidavit or whatever you want to call this, he's trying to explain that a search warrant was granted. When the search warrant was granted, his vehicles were put on the BOLO list. One unit went to his house, knocked on the door. A juvenile female, and must be one of Nick's daughters, saw it was the cops and refused to open the door. Nick was driving. He gets pulled over by the cops. Nick gets pulled over by the cops. The cops walks up to his window, tells him to roll down the window, asks Nick, "Sir, do you know why we pulled you over?" Nick says no. The cop smells the alcohol in his breath, tells Nick to get out of his car, and asks Nick, "Sir, how much had you had to drink this morning?" Nick says, "I haven't had anything to drink at all." He then tells Nick that he's going to perform a field sobriety test that Nick refuses, and then he arrests Nick, searches Nick's car, and then he draws blood, finds out that his blood alcohol level is beyond the legal limit, and then charges him with a DUI. Right? He gets charged with a DUI, right? Because he's an alcoholic. He's an alcoholic, so they charge him with a DUI. Question number 1. Where's the DUI? Where's the DUI? If Nick Rekieta is an alcohol, if he's an alcoholic, you know what it means to be an alcoholic? An alcoholic is someone who embodies alcohol. An addict is someone who embodies his addiction. So an alcoholic is going to smell like liquor. His eyes are going to be shot red. His words are going to slur. He's going to smell like liquor. And the cops, when they pull people over and they make people roll down their window, they get really close to the person because they want to smell the person to see whether or not they've been drinking. And if Nick's is an alcoholic like people claim he is, like the narrative claims he is, this guy has a problem with liquor and can handle his booze, and that's why he's been going downhill, then why is he being charged with a DUI if they caught him driving down the road? He's driving down the road in a vehicle. It took that one sentence to destroy that narrative. Nicholas Rekieta was traveling southbound in a vehicle. What do you want me to do? You want me to expect that this is the one morning that an alcoholic decided not to drink? When a guy's addicted, when he wakes up, he consumes his addiction. If a guy's addicted to cigarettes, the first thing he's going to do before he brushes his teeth is smoke a cigarette. If a guy's addicted to alcohol, the first thing he's going to do is going to take a sip. Alcoholics are always drunk. And for some reason, this drunk isn't being charged with a DUI. And no one asks that question. And you know why they don't ask that question? Because they don't care. Because they want to believe all the bullshit instead of critically analyzing what is being presented, critically analyzing the narrative. And if the narrative is that Nicholas Rekieta is an alcoholic, why is it that you're not charging an alcoholic with a DUI? Why? Why aren't they charging him with a DUI? Maybe he was drunk and maybe the officers overlooked it. But what I think actually happened was that the officers pulled him over and told him that, hey, we have a search warrant for your house and we need you to come back with us. And he went back with them. And that's what should have been written, but that's not what was written. So the person who wrote this complaint made a mistake. But that's not his biggest mistake. He made a really big mistake, a mistake that might cost him the case. And most people aren't talking about it because they want to convict Nick. The people who want to convict Nick don't like Nick. Are you ready? Here's something you need to learn. If you haven't learned this, whoever watches this, you'll know what people feel about you when you learn what they're willing to believe about you. If a person doesn't like you, if a person hates you, they'll believe the worst things about you. And when a person likes you, when a person loves you, they'll believe the best things about you. And if somebody claims that you're some terrible human being, they're going to ignore them. So, the reason why there is people out there who are supposedly fans, who are supposedly friends, who are supposedly colleagues, who are willing to believe that Nicholas Rekieta, A, is an alcoholic, B, abuses cocaine, C, is sharing his wife with some weirdo motherfucker from bumfuck Minnesota who's out here again, I'm gonna address that goofball and like fucking when I'm done with this shit, when I'm done annihilating this document and explaining as if I were a juror, I would not find this guy guilty. You'll see as we go along that they don't have enough evidence, and the evidence they do have doesn't make sense. So they rammed the door in. When they ram the door in, they find all these people in the house. The kitchen is cluttered, and Lady Rackets is in the bathroom dumping all the cokes down the toilet. I said the cokes. She's dumping all the coke down the toilet. Why isn't she dumping all? If she does coke, if Nick does coke, if April does coke, and they know that the cops are outside. They just found Nick driving down the road. One unit is at the house, and now they're waiting for Nick to get to the house. If Lady Rackets knows that there are cops about to knock their door down, why didn't she take the opportunity just to dump the drugs? Probably because she wasn't thinking about that stuff. And why was she thinking about that stuff? Probably because she's not a cokehead, because cokeheads think about coke. Your addiction becomes your identity. And I guess that wasn't part of her identity. Okay. So Nick returns home with the other unit, the other police unit. He demanded a copy of a search warrant. And when he was given a copy, he looked at it and threw it on the ground. What does that mean? It means that he was going to analyze the document, saw that they didn't have, either the document was incomplete or something, but there's something wrong with it. Either he was pissed off and threw it on the ground, or he saw that it was a bunch of bullshit, threw it on the ground, told these guys to get the fuck off his property. They told you, shut your bitch ass up, you white bread ass nigga. And then they broke his fucking door down. All right? So now let's continue. During the search, law enforcement located the following in the master bedroom. The following items were located in the master bedroom near the nightstand. A yellow snort tube, positive for cocaine. A black vial with white substance inside the field tested, positive for cocaine, weighed 2 grams. 2 credit card lists to April M. Holtz. This is the biggest mistake this person made. Why are there 2 credit cards listed to April M. Holtz in the master bedroom? Why are there 2 credit oh, must hit the caps locks. Credit cards listed to April in the master bedroom. I'm going to tell you exactly why there's 2 credit cards listed into the master bedroom. And why this little sentence right here is the biggest mistake this person writing this fucking affidavit made, and it might cost them the case. The reason why this is the biggest mistake, first of all, the reason why they wrote it down is because the person who wrote this complaint did not know that the charges against April M. Holtz were going to be dropped. He didn't know the charges were going to be dropped. That's why he wrote it down. That was the first reason. He didn't know. If he would have known that the charges were going to be dropped against her, he wouldn't have mentioned it. But he has to mention it because he needs physical evidence proving that she was in the bedroom. Without these credit cards, April is never in the bedroom. And if April is never in the bedroom, they don't have any evidence that April was ever in their bedroom, then they can't bring her in because she's just visiting the house. It's like saying, like you ordered, it's like a guy who's delivering pizza. He delivers the pizza, and you know how some people, they let the pizza delivery guy into their house, whether it be raining or whatever, or let's say they don't have enough change, or they didn't, like, oh crap, you want $5 more, let me go grab it, can you wait inside, right? And when that happens, the police raise the house, and then they grab everyone inside, and the pizza delivery guy is saying, hey, I'm just a pizza delivery guy, I was just here waiting for the cash, blah blah blah. April M. Holtz is just a visitor in the house. They don't know they don't know if she's staying over. They don't know if she's sleeping at their house. They don't know if she just came by to drop something off and leave. They don't know anything. They have to have physical evidence proving that April M. Holtz was not only in the house, but in the master bedroom next to the coke. That's why this little sentence is right there. And if the person writing this document knew that the charges were going to be dropped, he would have never put it in there. And this was the biggest mistake this person made. I'm going to tell you that later. 22 spent shell casings on the floor in the nightstand. Alright, so black vial, 2 credit cards listed in April, spelt shake casings. The following items was located in the master bedroom dresser. In the master bedroom dresser. So they're in the master bedroom. Glass container with metal filler and grinder glass that says it feel positive for cocaine. So whatever this is, I don't even know a lot of it because I don't do coke. I don't know what any of this shit is. The following items were located in a safe in the master bedroom. So this is weird. This stuff was in a safe, and they just found it. How did this? How was the safe open? That's from a storytelling perspective. They say that they rammed the door down because Nick refused to tell them exactly. Nick refused to tell them the code to the house. But they don't say, was the safe closed? If it was open, then holy shit. The following items were located in the open safe. But I don't think the safe was open. I think the safe was closed, and I guess they had to bring in a safe cracker to open the safe, which, holy shit. I didn't know you guys could do that, but okay. Bag with cards and dollar bills that field tested positive for cocaine. Notice that they don't mention who those cards belong to. Obviously, it's because they belong to Nick. A large corner cut baggie with white powder. What does that even mean? Copy. Paste. Images. Is that what that is? Is this what this is? That's what it's supposed to. Is that what it's supposed to look like? That's how much coke Nick had. Is that how much coke Nick had? How much coke did Nick have? If he had a whole shit ton of coke, then that's one thing. But is this what Nick had? Why is this man about to lose 25 years of his life? This is interesting. What does this thing look like? But anyways, back to the charging document. Large corner cut baggie that field tested positive for cocaine and weighed 18 grams. 3 small baggies that field tested positive for cocaine. Each of them, total of them weighing 5.49 grams with packaging. 8 green colored tablet that tested positive for ketamine. Ketamine's the thing that killed Matthew Perry. A digital scale that tested positive for cocaine. Metal pan with white powder in it that tested positive for cocaine. 2 snort, 2 blah 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 cocaine. Boom, boom, boom. This was all in a safe that they did not explain how they get that they got into. And then the following were located in a safe. So he had 2 safes that they got into. $100 bill. Bins of white bag powder. So cocaine bag. Cocaine. What the fuck is a cocaine scooper? Copy. Watch it be some regular ass scooper. Is that what they call these? Cocaine scoopers. Those are cocaine. That looks like a fucking spoon. A regular old spoon. Is that it? Micro spoon spatula. Is that it? What are they calling these? Is that it? Micro tiny spoons. These are cocaine spoons? What the scoop? These are cocaine scoopers. That's what the fuck are these? Holy shit. Okay. First off, I would object to the identification of cocaine scooper. I'm like, that's not what this is. And then 2 baggies within a baggy funnel. Don't know what that is. An unknown brown substance. There's unknown brown. I should have just copied and pasted. Copy. Substance. Is it heroin? We're about to say, but notice that they don't identify it because they want the person reading this to assume that that's what they're looking at. They want the person reading this to assume that, this unknown brown this unknown brown substance. What could it be? Is it heroin? Is it methamphetamine? What the fuck is it? I don't know. I don't know what it is. They field tested everything. Why didn't they field test this shit? Right? Okay. Additional firearms and ammunition were located in the garage. Total amount measurable cocaine in mass spectrum was 26.67 grams with packaging. And that's just so they could charge him with the 25 years to life charge. Cocaine is Schedule 2, controlled substance. Ketamine is Schedule 1, controlled substance. Detective blah, blah, blah. Met with Nick outside the home. He was read his Miranda rights, and he agreed to speak with the officers without counsel. Nick indicated that he sleeps in the... He indicated. That's an important word. What does that mean? He indicated. Why didn't you say he said he sleeps in the master bedroom? You know why he doesn't? Why this little word is important? I just noticed this. You know why this little word is important? Because that what he indicates is not necessarily what he meant or what they infer from what he says is not necessarily what he might have actually said, what he had actually meant. Now, if you've been watching Nick Rekieta for as long as I have, you know, because Nick has spoken about this, that he doesn't sleep with his wife. Meaning that he, again, suffers from narcolepsy, and that he tends to sleep either in a couch or somewhere near, because he stays up all night. He does his streams, then he watches a movie, and then he falls asleep on the couch. He doesn't sleep with it. Like, his wife is asleep with him. So I guess, like, I'm assuming, like, fuck, he must have done it. Must have said it just so he could get the heat off his wife. Again, this is somebody who actually loves his wife, as opposed to this fucking clown, this Steel Shoe Morning Show fucking clown that keeps talking shit on the internet. I'm gonna deal with him once I'm done with this shit. But okay, he indicates that he sleeps in the master bedroom. He doesn't say that. He indicates that Emperor M. Holt was visiting. So she's the visitor. He's trying to get April off. Because, you know, he decided to be her lawyer. And as her lawyer, he's trying to do the best thing he possibly can. He probably doesn't know that these fucking dumbasses put her credit cards in his master bedroom. Probably doesn't know that. But anyways, Nicholas and Kayla Rekieta were placed under arrest. Okay. Well, being placed under arrest, Detective Bond noted several injuries to the arms of Nick Rekieta. So that's the whole heroin thing. Question about the heroin. Question about the arms. If he's shooting up heroin, again, it's just simple questions. Where are the needles? Where are the needles? It's just little small details. He has injuries to his arms. Common with controlled substance abusers. It doesn't say common with heroin abusers. It doesn't say common with people who shit up drugs in their arm. He's saying these that appeared consistent. Now, it's the summer and Nick suffers from heat allergy. He might have gotten a sore from that. But this guy, again, he's trying to write a story that this guy's a drug abuser, coke fiend, heroin fiend. If he shoots up heroin, where are the needles? Where are the needles? Why didn't you search the trash bag for the needles? And matter of fact, you don't need to search the trash bags for the needles. Maybe Nick is a sanitized drug user. So he's probably going to have unused needles that are perfectly wrapped around the house. But yet, you don't find them and confiscate those. So where are the needles? If this guy does heroin, and this guy has sores in his arms that are consistent with a controlled substance abusers, where are the needles? Okay, they were transported to Caddo County Jail. Lady Rackets did not speak with the officers because she was trained well. At the jail, Nick was again read his rights and agreed to speak with officers without an attorney. Nick refused to answer any questions regarding cocaine or other controlled substance abuse. Probably because he's pretty smart. Granted, there's a lot of guys saying, like, why is he talking? He shouldn't say this, should have said that. If a guy as smart as Nick is smart enough to know what could incriminate him and not incriminate him, let him fucking talk. The same way some people have a problem with him representing himself. He's not representing himself, but if he did, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Because if you believe you're the best lawyer in the entire state of Minnesota, the next guy under you sucks shit, then go ahead and represent yourself. Some people could save themselves. I remember one time I was choking on some food. There was no one around. You think I'm gonna do the Heimlich maneuver on myself? I don't know how. So what I did was put 2 fingers down my throat and pull the food that I was choking on out of my mouth. I saved myself. I didn't need EMT to fucking help me. I didn't need a doctor to help me. When you're in a dire situation and you're the only person you know you could get yourself out of it, then go ahead and fucking do it. But you hear a lot of shit regarding the legal circumstances around this case. Like, nah. But, and I'm going to talk about what the law means and all the other shit. But, anyways, you refuse to speak to any attorney. You refuse to answer anything regarding substance abuse. He indicated that he lives at the house. No fucking shit. No shit. He lives. Yeah, because the dude doesn't live there. Like, what does this prove? What does this prove? Honestly, yeah, you're at his house. He lives there. What do you want to say? Like, yeah, it's his house, but he lives in Florida? The fuck are you talking about? Yeah, that's his house. He lives there. And he tells him he stays in the master bedroom with his wife. Yeah. Yeah. What do you want to say? That he doesn't stay there? Yeah. He stays in his bedroom with his wife. Oh shit. April M. Holt was a friend who was visiting and does not live at the residence. Again, he probably doesn't know that they took her credit card and planted it in the room so they could scoop her ass up along with them. While being booked into the jail, Kayla requested her prescription medication be brought to her. So she's on medication. Upon reviewing the prescription bottles, so they probably grabbed a shit ton of bottles that were brought to the jail. Jail staff found 2 unknown pills and gummies in one of the prescription bottles. These items did not match the prescription on the bottles. Okay, let's address this real quick. Again, you could say what you want to say about this. You could say that I'm coping. You could say that I'm trying to make an excuse, that it's hard for me to accept, all that stuff. But let's analyze this. First off, is this even a fucking crime? Okay. And number one. Number two, you tested everything for cocaine. Did you test these 2 pills for cocaine? These 2 unknown pills. You tested everything else. You don't test the brown substance, and you don't test these things. You don't even test the gummies. Are the gummies edible? Is it illegal to have edible gummies in Minnesota? Or is it illegal to put them in prescription bottles? Where's the crime? What crime was committed here? There isn't a crime here. But what they're doing is sensationalizing what happened to make these people look like out of control junkies. Now, let's say the prescription bottle is for, I don't know, oxycodone or whatever. Insert pharmaceutical drug here. Whatever pharmaceutical drug is prescribed to. They ran out, and some people do this. They're hoarders. Some people are hoarders. And what they do is they put drugs that aren't of the prescription in that bottle so they wouldn't throw it away, so they could keep it, because those prescription bottles are very like very easy to carry around. So you could put whatever you want in there and then just take it like either on the road or whatever. Doesn't really matter. But again, notice that not only that it doesn't match the prescription of the bottle, but doesn't say, okay, what's supposed to be in the bottle, or like what drugs are supposed to be in the bottles? What drugs are there? And the drug that was brought to Lady Rackets, like, was it her actual medicine? What was the medication that was brought to Lady Rackets? Why is that important? The reason why that is important because everyone saw the booking photos. These are the booking photos. This girl looks annoyed. Oh, this girl looks confused. This guy does not look like an alcoholic. He should look annoyed as fuck that he's asked to deal with this bullshit. And she looks off. Lady Rackets looks very off. And I am concerned about her. I don't know what's going on. But if they had mentioned exactly what was brought to her, it would be very easy to tell why she looks the way she does. But the reason why they leave out what was brought to her is because they want you to assume that the reason why she looks the way she does is because she's on coke. That is why. It's all about perception. It's all about narrative. Even if she isn't a junkie, if they get her to look like a junkie, if they get her to sound like a junkie, then that's great for them. But what was the medication that was brought to her? And why did she need it? What's wrong with Lady Rackets that she needs medication? And if she's on medication for underlying disease, does that disease, would it be, or SAPS, like, would it be like made worse through the use of cocaine? All right. And then the complaint ends here. All right. But notice what's missing in the story. First thing that's missing in this story. What did April do in the county jail? What did she do? Did she agree to cooperate? Because notice that's all that left out. They told us what Nick said. They told us what Lady Rackets said. But they don't tell us what April said, if she said anything at all. And if she didn't say anything at all, why didn't they mention it? Why didn't they mention that April refused to cooperate? Is it reasonable to assume that she has agreed to cooperate with them? It's reasonable to assume that. Now, do we have definitive evidence that she'd agreed to do that? Because her charges were dropped. The only thing they have on her were the credit cards. And let's say Nick was defending her and Nick managed to get her off. If he managed to get her off, then yeah, if he managed to get her off because he was defending her, then holy shit, he is a pretty good fucking lawyer. But again, it's reasonable to assume that she's agreed to cooperate, and it is reasonable to assume that she's agreed to testify against them. And it's reasonable to assume she did it for immunity. And if that's the case, this thing right here, this little sentence right here, is the biggest mistake the person writing this document made. And the reason why is the biggest mistake this person writing the document made is because you've given immunity to a person that Nick could possibly throw not under the bus, but under the fucking killdozer. Which, knowing Nick, he's probably going to do, because he's not going to testify against his wife and claim the substance are hers. And he's not going to take ownership and say those are his. You gave one of the co-defendants immunity. And if you gave one of the co-defendants immunity, he could easily trick her up. Nick is a smart guy, and he's really smart at getting people saying shit that he wants them to say. If he could get her to admit that the coke is hers, the game's over. Because why are your credit cards in my master bedroom if you've never been there? Why are you, like, Again, Nick is on record saying, like, yeah, of course he stays at it. He stays at it as in that's his bedroom. That's what it could mean. He sleeps in it as in that's where, like, when he goes to bed, when he's not streaming, he sleeps in that bedroom. But when he is streaming, he sleeps on a couch somewhere near his little makeshift studio that he has. But because the person who wrote this affidavit, or whatever the fuck you call this thing, wanted to scoop April up along with the Requietas, and he had to have physical proof that she was in that room, this little mistake Nick could use to railroad this chick. And he doesn't have to worry about having her go to jail because she was given immunity. And I don't think this girl is going to get charged. Like, if they drop the charges, all he has to do is just, like, just set this little bitch up. And that's the thing. Her dumbass husband has been on the internet admitting to the world that the reason she left him is because she's on coke. Her dumbass husband is on the internet saying that he tried to stop her from using drugs. She said fuck off and went to Nick's house. And Nick could easily just say, like, hey, this woman's a friend of ours. She's going through marital problem. We let her stay in our bedroom. Lady Rackets is sleeping with the kids. I sleep in the couch. This is the only woman that has had access to my bedroom. And apparently her husband claims she has a coke problem. The coke is hers. And the charges are fucking dropped or beaten or whatever the fuck. But this little mistake might cost these people the case. And the fact that I'm literally the only person that's brought this up is because I believe Nick is innocent. And the reason why I believe Nick is innocent is because I actually like Nick. And it's a lot harder for me to believe that he's done fucked up shit. And take it like this. Again, like I said, you'll know what a person feels about you when you know what they're willing to believe about you. Like I said, people who hate Donald Trump believe that he's the worst person in the world. For example, Sam Harris, popular clip, he was on a podcast, said it doesn't matter what Hunter Biden did. Hunter Biden could be found in a closet or like in the basement with a bunch of dead kids' body, and it doesn't matter because what Donald Trump has done is much worse. What is this much worse he's talking about? Who knows? But Sam Harris hates Donald Trump, so Donald Trump is the evil person in the world. So he's willing to believe whatever fucked up shit about Donald Trump. As opposed to me, I don't believe Nick is the most fucked up person in the world. So it's a lot hard for me to believe that that he abuses alcohol. There's one thing, like, yeah, we've seen him. Yeah, his drink, that's his whole shtick. But again, if he's an alcoholic and he's driving in a vehicle, question number one, where's the DUI? Where's the DUI? Alcoholics, that's like an automatic win for the cops to catch an alcoholic driving a vehicle. Anyways, that's the end of the complaint. And these are the people who charged it. These are the charges. And again, let's say if I were to write this story, one, definitely clarify where everyone is and make sure it's consistent. Number two, make sure people are behaving in accordance with the consistencies of the characteristics of the person they're supposed to be behaving like. So if a guy's an alcoholic, then yeah, take note that he's drunk as shit. He was driving drunk and we pulled him over, and We did a field sobriety test and all that extra shit, and then we ended up charging him with a DUI. Why are April's credit cards in his room? Little questions. Little questions. So, what do I want to see? A lot of people claim that they want to see Nick admit to having a problem. That is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. Imagine being them. Please, Nick, please admit to the only crime that could cost you 25 years of your life. Nick, please. Please, would you admit to that, Nick? Nick, admit to the only crime the only charge you have to beat in order for these people to dismiss this case. Please, we're talking about facts. Please, Nick, admit to the only crime that's going to destroy your career, Nick. Just admit it. They want him to admit to some shit he cannot admit to. And these things are coming from lawyers. Lawyers should know better. Lawyers should know better. We want him to apologize. Apologize to who and for what? The best guy who put it into perspective was Joe Neerman. He's like, Nick doesn't owe anybody an apology other than to his own family, and he doesn't have to apologize publicly for jack shit. All right, so what do I want to see? Well, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to see is I want to see Nick Rekieta beat the case. I want to see him win. I don't want to see him settle. I don't want to see him lose. I don't want to see him go to jail, cop a plea. I want him to see him beat the case. And to me, winning is either getting the charges dismissed or B, going through a jury trial, which is probably going to be fun as fuck. Let's think about it. Going through the jury trial and winning the case and then proving to the world that you are the lawyer everyone thought you were, that you are the talented attorney that grabbed the attention of people like Steven Crowder, people like Alex Jones, people like Glenn Beck. The talented attorney who at one point had 140,000 people watching him during a live stream. 140,000 people with only 400,000 subscribers. Most people cannot do that. But they want him to admit to doing the crime. They want him to lose because I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you how I feel. The reason why they want him to admit to doing the crime is because they want his audience. Nick Rekieta has done one of the most successful things any YouTuber has done, and that is successfully monetize his audience. And if he's gone, these people who want him out the way believe that they could take his audience. Well, I got bad news for those people. The reason why we watch Nick every night, the reason why we stand by him, the reason why we donate super chats and subscribe to his locals and go to his meetups, not because we're a fan of law, not because we're a fan of anime, not because we're a fan of drama, because we're a fan of Nick Rekieta. He's the one we like. There are a lot of law tubers who aren't doing what he's doing, with the exceptions of Viva Fry and Robert Barnes. Other than that, there aren't a lot of law people doing what Nick is doing. And he's entertaining. We like him. And all these people saying that he's changed and he's done this and he's done that. Like I said, the only thing that's changed with the streams is the consistencies. We are lucky if we get 3 streams in a week. He has been streaming because, again, he's been doing a lot of errands that his nanny who left him used to do, and because he's been feeling sick. And until proven otherwise, I don't have any reason not to believe him. And I'm going to believe him over some random fucking cop who lies all of the fucking time. Or some random cops to plant evidence, or random cops who want to see him in jail. And if you don't believe cops plant evidence, well, there's an entire website dedicated to it. Cops finding evidence, a curated collection of links. And this is just nothing but stories of cops planting evidence. Well, let's say you don't believe these stories. Well, let's look at these statistics. Police Integrity Laws, a study of law enforcement officers arrested, authored by Philip Matthew Simpson. The data received April 2016. So this is this is almost not 8 years old. This is an 8-year-old document. An 8-year-old document. And if we do the Control F, go Control F and write the word planting. Oh, sorry. Give me 2 seconds.